development. That we're doing that through the Stride Professional Development Center. Gone are the days where it's face-to-face only PD. It's episodic professional development. It's professional development that's not necessarily relevant to what teachers and educators need right away. So the Professional Development Center is designed to solve that challenge with some unique, innovative ways of delivering content.
All right, man. Well, listen, we are super excited here at the network to be engaged with you all and helping to provide this opportunity for teachers all across the country, and especially those teachers that are coming from our HBCU backgrounds, because we know that education was always one of the stalwarts of most HBCUs in this country. They all had teaching programs, and that's what a lot of them were founded for. So Darren, let's talk a little bit about those special programs that you guys have for the teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Roy, you hit on the very important point. Right now in our country, we're facing probably one of the greatest challenges, of our teaching corps that we have in many, many years. And that's around this teacher shortage. A lot of teachers are exiting the profession just based on tenure. They're retiring and moving on. And then you have, our existing teachers who are being taxed and stressed, particularly post-COVID with increasing demands, challenges that they're facing in the classroom, and a host of other issues that they struggle with. And we need good teachers, and we need to support the teachers that we have. So the two things that we're doing is that we know first-year teachers, among all teachers, are among the first to leave the profession within the first 5 years. I think they do at a 44% rate, which is just scary to think that folks are graduated, want to go in the classroom and make a difference, but, feel like they need to leave within the first 5 years because it's so challenging. So we want to support them. Obviously, as a new teacher, your school that you work, where you work your first year, the district where you work, there will be some professional development support to assist you. But we want to go a step further. We want to help every teacher in the country get off to a strong start to their first year and have some stick-to-itiveness, to help them get through that first year. So we're offering a year free access to the Stride Professional Development Center. It's a ever-growing online database of courses that will help them in a variety of different ways, classroom management, targeted instruction, and a host of other things. And the content will continuously grow. Again, it's just another resource that allows them to sharpen their practice, to feel like they're supported, because the research says that teachers are leaving in large part because they don't feel like they get enough professional support. So we really hope that helps new teachers. So again, this is for any new teacher who just graduated in the country. All you have to do is go to our site and sign on using the Teachers Win discount at checkout. Also, we have another campaign where during Teacher Appreciation Week, we gifted all teachers in the country, no matter where you are, 6 months free Professional Development Center access. But we're doing a special thing through our partnership with the BCSN and our HBCU graduates, and also the schools that you work with. We want any teacher in the country who through our partnership gets access to the Professional Development Center, and they get 6 months free using the BCSN 23 passcode at checkout. Again, our goal is to support and get as many teachers on the site feeling supported, to really help, them succeed and have some success, not only for them, but obviously for our kids and the communities they serve. So.
Most definitely. And Darren, listen, we are super excited again to be a part of this. My mother was a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. I have my best friend is a teacher.
Absolutely.
So we understand. I've worked in the school system for years, so I understand the resources that are needed. I understand why a lot of these teachers do take the time and they sit there, and after going through college, they're like, you know what, let's do something different. Yeah. So we're happy to be a part of this to help you guys change that. So ladies and gentlemen, here's all you guys need to do. All you need to do is take a look and go to the link that's right below us right now and see what you're going to do. You're going to see two links on the page now, just to make sure. The top one takes you to their professional development page, homepage, that'll let you know about some of the things that are happening there and the things that you have access to. Go to the second link that says Teacher Appreciation. That'll take you directly to the content page where you can sign up and get your free year if you're a new teacher, and your free 6 months if you're an existing teacher. Let's show them how we utilize resources, and we make sure that we take time, those folks who are HBCU alum, and use this. And let's see what Stride has to offer. We're excited about it. We know you will be too. Darren, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the folks?
No, I mean, just, as a teacher myself, and understanding the need, and of course with the diversity that's needed in our teaching corps across the country. I know our HBCU teacher graduates are just exactly what we need in our community. So I really encourage them, and just glad to be doing this partnership with you all.
All right. Well, folks, there you go again, Mr. Darren Reed, Senior Vice President of Stride Professional Development Learning. We will be seeing you guys, and trust me, you'll be seeing more from their partnership with us as we move forward, always trying to do our best to make sure that we move forward with the community. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, I love it. I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Good afternoon, this is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is still on assignment. It's my understanding he's traveling the airways to Brazil, of all places. Man, I tell you, some people just have the most fortune in life. I'm just trying to figure it out. He told me, he promised me he's gonna give me tickets. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. So I'll get off his back for this moment. I want to make sure I get my trip. But with that said, welcome to episode 456 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash with all things HBCU sports. From institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU, sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. Simply put, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Fame, multi-Hall of Fame Ralph Cooper in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. Another Thursday. We closing in on another weekend where we have some great football action. We got closing in on the last of the volleyball, and we got volleyball championship next week.
Man, it's closing out. You're saying it appropriately. You just did the soccer championship, volleyball championship is on its way. Football season is narrowing down, and basketball kicked off. In some ways, I'm sad. The first part of the fall season is coming to an end. We're getting into the winter sports. So that means football is almost at the closure, but that means we got a lot of good things to think about as well. So we'll see how that goes. With that being said, we have one Brian Fulford in the studio with us. How you doing today?
Doc, I'm doing well. Doc, Charles, good to be on with you. What is it that you said Mike does? What is his profession? I love teaching, I love coaching, but I'd love to get to Brazil. So I mean, I might need to call Mr. Washington and make a career change if I can get to Brazil faster and sooner.
I understand. Yeah, the band did his undergraduate degree in chemical engineering.
Oh, Jesus.
So, yeah, exactly. He's a different type of character, as you hadn't known by now. That was at Prairie View. I was there. He was there year 4B. And came over here and did the executive MBA program at Texas Southern University, did some all-school classes program. So, dude is quite brilliant. So, I don't know. He's in environmental management, I guess, is industry management. Only he can talk about it, toxicology, all that kind of stuff with that chemistry. chemical analysis and feelings. And he basically makes sure that all these plants that these people make all this good money on and allow us to do all that, he makes sure they don't like blow up. And unfortunately, if they do have like some issues, he's the one that goes in there and comes and mitigates it and say, hey, y'all need to do this, get your butt over there. Then he goes up all those folks and say, hey, this is what you need to say on television. This is what's going on. So he's in all of that. So the dude really does really well. I guess that's how he gets to go everywhere. But I'm trying to figure out how he got this job where it's like international. And then, one of the parts of it is like Germany one time, even France, and then all of a sudden Brazil, Mexico. So the dude just like, I don't know. I don't know.
See, if they would have told me, that at the recruiting table, that you get to, I might have gone from journalism and business over to chemical engineering.
I'll struggle through this engineering.
I'd have sucked it up for a decade trying to get there. At the end of the day, Brian, guess where? You be in Brazil. Oh, sir, that's all you had to tell me. Okay.
Yeah, man. That's what he do. So how you doing other than that?
I'm doing well. Basketball season has started, so the grind for me has begun, and I love it. But it makes me miserable at times. But I love the misery.
No doubt. Had a great show on O&G Strike Zone. For those that didn't catch it live last night, you can go back on BCSN Network and check it out. A lot of great interviews, a lot of good information. O&G, those gentlemen are kind of spoiled over right now, Charles. I guess they're getting the feeling of how you were spoiled over the last 2 years. It's kind of nice when you're king of the ropes this early part of the year. But with that being said, shout out to G. Boom Holly. He's sitting baseline shooting PV Lady Panthers basketball game. So again, I told you, basketball's in effect. So he's doing it at the most as that looks like right now. Let me go to you, Charles, to get some updates in terms of weekly. We said volleyball coming down. I think this might be the last weekly updates in November 7th, I guess it is.
No doubt. Let's take a look at the SWAC Volleyball Weekly Honors for November 7th. Southwestern Athletic Conference's named Prairie View's Kylie Owens, Lee Lawson, and Bailey Hewitt, along with Florida A&M's Brooke Hudson for the SWAC Volleyball Weekly Honors for their impressive performances during this past week of conference play. Let's take a look at the Offensive Player of the Week, and that was Kylie Owens. She assisted the Lady Panthers to their 10th sweep of the season this past week. She tallied 19 kills, 4 service aces, 21 digs, and 1 block assist during Prairie View's conference wins over Alcorn and Southern. Defensive Player of the Week was Hudson. Looks like this Brooke Hudson. There we go. Brooke Hudson recorded her double-digit digs for FAMU in their wins over Mississippi Valley State and Jackson State this past week. She set the Rattlers' single-season dig record. Wow, 558 digs, breaking her previous mark of 553 digs. And the center week was
nice with it.
Pretty nice. Yes, indeed. Leah Lawson, she averaged 11.6 assists per set, compiling over 70 assists during 2 Prairie View wins this past week. She leads the conference this season in assists per set with a mark of 8.74. Lawson also ranks first in total assists in compiling, get this, Doc, 918 assists in 105 sets. So that was Leah Lawson. She's the setter of the week. And the newcomer of the week was Bailey Hewitt. Bailey Hewitt contributed 25 kills and 4 blocks in 6 sets this past week of competition. She led all attackers with 14 kills during the team's victory over Alcorn. On Monday, Hewitt had 11 kills in 3 sets. She rounded out 2 days of action with 2 assists, 17 digs, and 4 blocks. So those are your SWAC volleyball players of the week.
I see FAMU spoiled the party for Prairie View, man. They had 3 of the 4 folks getting off over there, getting it done. Shout out to Kylie Owens, daughter of Terrell Owens, getting it done. Boy, I tell you, she been shining quite a bit. Yeah, that's the daughter over there that folks talk about. She's showing out on her own right, showing that she got those skills. Doing big things over there at Prairie View A&M University. With that being said, let's go to the MEAC. Brian, what do you have for us on the MEAC side of things?
Well, the MEAC Volleyball Honors, North Carolina Central's Emmy Modlin was named the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference Player of the Week, presented by Coca-Cola. Delaware State's Ella Sanders was named Rookie of the Week, while North Carolina Central's Bella Deringer earned Setter of the Week honors, respectively. Howard's Claire Simpson was named Defensive Player of the Week. Miss Maudlin, a sophomore from Pinehurst, North Carolina, averaged 4.78 kills per set with a .343 hitting percentage on the week. She posted 21 kills in a 4-set victory over Maryland Eastern Shore on Friday, and followed with a second 20-plus kill performance, putting down 22 kills in a 5-set match against defending MEAC champ Del State on Sunday, setting a new career high in kills. Maudlin averaged 2.11 digs per set, including 11 digs against Delaware State for her 5th double-double of the season. That's a lot of kills, by the way.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot of kills. Rookie of the Week. Miss Sanders is a freshman from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She totaled 19 kills on the weekend, averaging 2.71 kills per set with 2 assists, 2 service aces, 3 blocks, and 17 digs. She collected a double-double in the 5-set victory over North Carolina Central with 15 kills and 12 digs. The Setter of the Week, again, was Miss Deringer. She is a junior from Muncie, Indiana. Shout out to Indiana. Averaged 9.11 assists and 2.56 digs per set in North Carolina Central's 2 matches last week. She posted a new career high in assists with 46 in Friday's 4-set victory over Maryland Eastern Shore, while chipping in 4 kills, 10 digs, 2 aces, and 2 blocks. Deringer followed with 36 assists and 13 digs as well as 2 kills in a 5-set thriller against the reigning MEAC champs in Delaware State. Everybody's just having a field day against Delaware State, right? And of course, the Defensive Player of the Week, Miss Simpson, is a sophomore from Plainfield, Illinois. She averaged 4.09 digs per set over 11 sets played. She tallied 16 digs and 5 assists against UMBC and racked up 23 digs and 3 assists and a 5-set win over then undefeated Coppin State.
Good stuff there. Good stuff. Charles, you got some other news you want to share before we get into this break?
Yeah, let's take a look at MEAC. They announced their 2024 basketball schedule on ESPNU. The MEAC announced its basketball television schedule for the 2023-2024 season on ESPNU. The schedule features 4 regular season matchups, including 3 men's conference games and a double-header feature, both a men's and women's conference matchup to close out regular season play. The slate tips off on ESPNU on Saturday, January 6th, when defending MEAC champion Howard travels to Durham, North Carolina for a noon tip-off against North Carolina Central. On Monday, February 19th, North Carolina Central, they head to Norfolk to take on Norfolk State. That's a 9 p.m. game in Eccles Hall Arena. The game will air at 9 p.m. on ESPNU. The season finale features a doubleheader of men's and women's matchups on Thursday, March 7th, featuring Howard at Norfolk State. The women's game tips off at 5 p.m., followed by the men's game at 9 p.m. The games are a rematch of the 2022 and 2023 MEAC Tournament Championship. All games that are televised on an ESPN network will also be available on the ESPN app with TV Everywhere credentials.
Good stuff. Good stuff. With that being said, let me go to you, Brian. What other news you got to share?
Well, I don't know how deep you want to get into the CIAA's new exclusive, well, actually their extension of the exclusive multimedia rights agreement with Von Wagner. The CIA and Van Wagner, a leading collegiate athletics marketing agency, agreed to a new long-term term agreement, cementing the commitment of both organizations to continue their successful collab. The partnership was initiated in 2016 as the two joined forces, as Van Wagner joined forces with the conference to assist in maximizing the commercial value of the CIAA's athletic programs and championships. Van Wagner was appointed as the exclusive media rights and license partner to commercialize specific media rights related to the conference's athletic programs. In an ever-evolving landscape of sports, college sports, Van Wagner played a pivotal role in ensuring the CIAA's viability and visibility during times of uncertainty.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot more there on the bone, but it's when things are going well, you got to keep things going. And so good to see that the CIAA and they found a partner that's done good work for them, and good stuff there.
Good stuff. Before we get in this break, let me give a breakdown. We'll spend some time on the SIAC championship game as we did on Tuesday. We did the CIAA. If you hadn't saw it live, you can go back and check it out on demand, YouTube, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. With that being said, Benedict College Tigers and Albany State University Golden Rams set to kick off in the rivalry championship showdown. In a season-thrilling victory, steadfast determination stage is set for a thrilling championship showdown of Albany State Golden Rams face Benedict Tigers in the most anticipated game of the year, 2023 SIAC Football Championship presented by Cricket. Sounds like they're trying to sell this thing out, aren't they? With that being said, Lakewood Stadium this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 12 high noon Central Standard Time. You can check it out as they're getting it done in terms of that big-time matchup. Where to watch it? You can check out the Cricket available streaming on ESPN Plus and ESPNU, 11 p.m. that night on tape delay. With that being said, let's get out of here and get into our first break. We'll come back on the other side and get into some mid-major marching sport, bring in our guests and see what your thoughts are in terms of what we did this week. Not a lot of changes. Things are shaping up. No upsets this week, but things look really good as we get into this last week or so before the announcement for the HBCU sports and before we name our own champion. We'll see what that looks like. Stick with us as we come on back on the other side.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Press the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna love, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Wills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We welcome back to Dr. Wills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Obviously, today we have Charles Bishop as always. Joining us is Professor Fulford. And now we got another professor in the building, Professor Hooks, adjuncting today. Gonna bring us in some information, if you would, on the SIAC championship game. You can check him out on HBCU football on Twitter as he gets it done. Skeeky historian, what he goes by as well. He's all knowledge about the SIAC. Enjoy his information when he pulls up those newspaper articles that go way back. So I'm delighted when I see those as I learn so much from him. He also joins, as we had on Tuesday, Stephen Gaither, as well as Ferguson D2, as he gets on there. They do their thing on D2 HBCU football on HBCU Game Day. You can check him out there, bringing great information I really appreciate his style, if you would, in terms of how he tells everybody, slow down a minute, slow down, just slow down, get the information before you jump out here in these internet, social media streets and just dropping bombs and giving your thoughts. Do some homework. I love it. Appreciate it. Welcome to the show.
No, thank you all for having me. I'm glad to be here.
No doubt about it. With that being said, we're going to get into our HBCU Major Division Marching Sports Top 7. We'll get everybody's thoughts on this. Kendrick, you can say your thing. You know, we want you back, so be careful how you treat my mid-major. Just kidding. Just kidding. You say
okay.
As we get into it, not much changing this week. We did have quite a few contests, if you would. Nobody dropped out, so we're going to jump right into it at number 7. Benedict Marching Tiger Bands of Distinction. They went up against Allen this week in their classic, and much like how the game went, the band got it done. So they improved to 3-0 on the season, 2-0 in the conference race. They're at number 7, 105 points. Bringing us to number 6, Albany State Golden Rams Marching Show Band have gotten the action late, kind of going on a trend, particularly over the last couple of weeks. They're 3-0. They got it done against Fort Valley State. So not only did they have an upset on the football side, they also got it done in the marching sport during the 0 quarter, halftime, and 5th quarter, getting it done in that classic over there. Bringing us to number 5, Virginia State, the Trojan Explosions. They stay up there, and they got it done against Virginia Union in that matchup. Virginia Union took it to Virginia State on the football gridiron, but in the band and in the stands, not so much. They improved to 4-1 on the season, 3-0 in terms of their conference race. That being said, number 4, Clark Atlanta, Mighty Marching Band. Better be glad they got a band in Atlanta over there at Clark Atlanta. Not too much going on the gridiron, a little tough to get going, but the band is bringing some pride. In fact, they're undefeated, 3-0, just 3 matchups. But to their credit, 2-0 in the conference race, they get it done. As Morehouse built out the victory. We know what happened off the field with the head coach, so it looks like the band directors on both sides are safe. We'll leave that talk much longer for later. Langston Marching Pride, they're in the mix, able to stay at number 3, even though they hadn't had a contest for a while. They're 3-0, 2-0. They do have one first place vote, 152 points. They stay at number 3. They're in the mix. Bringing us to number 2. This number 2 had some action going on in terms of what that looks like. As we get into it with Winston-Salem State, Red Sea Sound getting it done as they improve with their big victory over Fayetteville State. That's another one of there where the band got it done as they improved to 5-1, 5-0. There's been a lot of action lately. Particularly sounds like after they came out with that announcement that they were number 2, they just got in their groove. They earned 2 first place votes. So they got one there, 161 points to stay at number 2 as Winston-Salem State Red Sea of Sound continues to get it done. At number 1, see what Kendrick thinks about this. Miles, Purple Marching Machine. They got it done over Tuskegee. So Tuskegee got the upset on the field. Got upset on the field, but Miles Band got it done as well. They improved to 5-1, 4-0, 5 first place votes. They lose a vote there, but they stand hot and heavy, 164 points, ranking number 1. With that being said, we're going to let our guest, Kendrick, come in here and go first. What are your thoughts on the mid-major marching sports top 7 poll rankings in week number 10?
I'll just say that, I hate my Marching Crimson Pipers aren't in there, but, it is what it is. I'll tell you this. I'm really glad about – that was a good job. I'm really glad that we're having this and that the bands are getting the highlight in the conference. One of the things that has bothered me that, prior to like the last 2 years, the bands really took a really hit in the SIAC. You saw a really decrease. You saw like those older band directors start to retire. And there was a shuffling of new band directors coming in. And it just seemed like a lot of the band programs had kind of lost their way a little bit. And so to see them like bounce back, to see the Fort Valley starting to pick back up numbers, to see Albany State pick those numbers back up, and then the struggles that Clark Atlanta band had, to see them on the list, I think that's amazing. I thought it was a shame that their band program went down to almost not having a program at one time. This about 4 or 5 years ago, it was like 8. They had like 8 members in the band. So to see them bounce back that way, I think that's truly an amazing testament. And I hope we continue to support our bands in the conference.
Good stuff. Some great insight when you talk about that. Shoot, some major division bands, they seem like they have 8 drum majors. You talking about 8 bands. I might be off fudging a little bit. It's something. All right. Charles, what are your thoughts on the marching sport mid-major division in week number 10?
Well, let me ask Kendra this question because I'm curious about this now. Like, when you take a look at this top 7, what is a band that you think is underrated that we should be keeping an eye out for?
Great question.
I like Central State. I like Central State Band a lot. I've even tweeted out about them. I think Kentucky State this year they've taken a step back, but there's a lot that goes into that. Kentucky State is one of our institutions that we want to pay close attention to because of the struggles they're facing right now, and having a legislature that just it seems dead set on underfunding them and seeing them close their doors. So the fact they even have a band program, I think, is amazing at this point. But I think those two are really two bands that's good. One of the things I want to say, one of the narratives was when it first came out for people who don't really follow SIC football, they just thought Miles was the big bully in the conference. But there are really some quality bands in the conference that they don't back down to Miles just because Miles is the biggest. You talk about Benedict's, So Miles, they're the biggest and they can go up against the SWAC bands as far as size-wise, but there are bands that battle them. Our band went probably like a 7-8 round 5th quarter with them this Saturday. So there's a lot of quality bands there, but just to answer your question, I would say Central State.
Okay. That's stuff. Any updates other than that?
Well, yeah, I think you see Winston-Salem State that they've climbed, they've ascended to be one of the top bands in the ESPN rankings. So I was curious to see where you're going to have them here in our rankings, especially when we take a look at the battle. So I was curious about that battle between Miles and Tuskegee last week. So that's great insight, Kevin.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Brian, what are your thoughts on the top 7?
Well, okay. So what's interesting looking at the number one band, Miles, and again, I'm gonna juxtapose this against another poll, another band ranking poll. Obviously, the ESPN Band of the Year. Seeing Miles number 1 in one poll and number 8 in another, it's like if somebody had all of a sudden put, I'm trying to be nice here, somebody had decided to put Hampton number 1 in the poll here on week number 10. I'm just saying, if somebody did that, I that's what it feels like. But I say that because Miles is ranked 8th on the latest ESPN Band of the Year, but they've earned, I guess, their stripes in the band competition. Whatever performance
criterion.
Whatever criteria or performance is getting them rated so high on a week-to-week basis, they need to send that video into the Band of the Year competition so that they can be better judged. Now, Winston-Salem State is number 2 in your rankings or your poll, and number 1 in the other. So that one seems okay. Look, I did not know their name was the Red Sea of Sound. That just sounds that sounds vicious. A Red Sea of Sound. That just sounds like I don't want to be out there on the ocean when that thing is coming around. But anyway, I'm just that's all I'm picking at. But it's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. I think it's great discussion, especially in the band community. So congratulations to Miles and congratulations to Winston-Salem State.
Man, that's a perfect fastball. I want to remind everybody, the ESPN Marching Sports, they have these criterion that they go by, obviously sound, and we go by some of these criterions, marching style, volume, and things of that nature. But the biggest component of our poll ranking is the fact that the band has to be in action. Yeah. It has to make sure that they have a matchup against another band. That's how we match up. So there's some weekends where some bands do not get on the road. They don't go up against another band. And the reason we do that is because over the years, we heard the band talk about how they are a sport. Marching sport is one of the terms you hear thrown around that they talk about. Well, if you're a sport, in my book, there's a winner and a loser. So all this little nice little band competition, that's great. Y'all judge it. Y'all do what y'all want and keep it moving. I'm not a hater, so whatever. But in terms of this band, you want to be the best band in the land. In this poll, you got to get out there and you got to find a way to get into action. You got to support your band. You got to know when to play, when to be quiet, when your quarterback is under center. You got to be engaging your fans. Those are some of the criteria that we look at. And most importantly, you got to participate against another band so I can select a winner and a loser. And those that watch it with me, they do the same. We want to know who came out of the competition with the W. We don't care about you having 5,000, a couple of 10,000 million fans voting for you, saying that you all nice and stuff like that. That's beautiful. You go on them other places and vote your heart out. It ain't gonna work here. It's not gonna work here. Kendrick, they can't get it like that. Brian, not today. In fact, I'll give you an F squared. That's how this professor's gonna judge you, Charles. You know about the F squares that I give over here at Texas Southern University. When the folks don't know what they're doing, they don't turn in no work, playing with, put that F squared in your life. With that being said, we're gonna go to our last break. We'll turn around, we'll bring back on the other side. Just make sure you know, just want to make sure everybody know out there. Play with me if you want to.
CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplify Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplify Development Services.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a sixth sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah.
So you.
It is.
There's a Buick that fits your life, because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
If you compress the analytic data with your hip hop, if you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab, all about the SIAC championship game. It should be a big one this weekend. Fascinating to see what goes down in this matchup. As you know, it is the SIAC championship game. You have number 1, undefeated, the only undefeated HBCU program, Benedict Tigers, 10-0, 8-0 in the conference race. They're versus Albany State. They come in at 6-4, 6-2. One of the hottest teams in the SIAC at this time in terms of how they finished, beating up on their rivals. They got good fortune with some other upsets in the league, but they did what they were supposed to, and they find themselves in the SIAC championship game. I'm fascinating. Told you this will be on ESPN+. You can see it on tape delay on ESPNU. With that being said, we're going to open it up again with Kendrick. What are your thoughts on terms of this matchup? Any surprises, any things that we need to consider that we hadn't thought about?
Outside of the weather, I think this game is going to be a game that kind of puts Albany State, I mean, they've picked up a good little run towards the end of the season. I think they're playing their best ball now. And I just want to say hats off to Coach Gray. You know, he's a new coach, had to come in, learn his personnel. I don't think we talk about that enough. Coaches having to learn their personnel. So you see a lot of shifting. And they were able to pick up some wins along the way. You know, had two really tough games to start the season off with Wingate and Valdosta State. And then, you know, he kind of got into a groove, had the last minute drive by Edward Waters, and that just gives me nightmares. Edward Waters did that 2 weeks in a row. They beat us with 2 seconds left on the clock. So the Edward Waters, you know, they was on a run. But I just think Albany State is just going to run into, as Damien in the SIC talk would say, a buzzsaw in Benedict. Really, when you look over the conference, schematic wise and just matchup and size wise, the only team that really matched up with Benedict the last 2 years has been Miles. And that was like one of the matchups that I look forward to, because even Miles 1-9 year, they played Benedict really tough, only giving up one offensive touchdown in that game. And so this year you see them, you know, take Benedict to the wire. For Albany State, the question is going to be their offensive line. Is their weak point? They've given up 28 sacks this year. And when you talk about a rotation of 8 for Benedict, I know we talk about Luberton, we talk about Jaden Broughton, we talk about Hannibal, but they have 8 capable guys that can pin their ears back, and I mean, they really stuff it. So it'll be interesting how Coach Gray tries to, you know, see if he can attack the aggressiveness of that defensive line on Benedict. Coach Gray is an offensive mind, so I look for him to, you know, to try to pull some things out of his hat. It's really nobody in the conference right now that can just line up outside of Miles and just go toe-to-toe with Benedict. That size difference, I mean, everybody they play, you can see that size difference. You can see how athletic they are, you know, against other teams in the conference. And just for Albany State, they cannot get in those situations where they know they're going to pass the ball, because if they do, they're going to take some licks.
Good stuff.
I guess on the other side
go ahead.
On the other side for Benedict, it's just playing a complete football game. I know their motto is 1-0, and I said this on other shows. Yeah, they're 1-0. Their folks at Albany State. I'm kind of leaning toward the playoffs. I want to see them really handle Albany State, because I really think there's something special about this Benedict team. I think about those years that Tuskegee was undefeated in the conference and we didn't have a shot at the playoffs, and even some of those years Albany State made you know decent runs in the playoffs. I think this Benedict team is as much of a complete team as any team in recent history to come out of the SIAC. So I really want them to dominate this game and start looking forward. I just think they're the better team.
Good stuff. Let me let Charles come in here. You just also ask a follow-up question, but to your point, when you look at Valdosta State, they're 9-1, top 25 up there with Benedict. I think when you go into regional rankings, you have Benedict 1, Delta State 2, and Valdosta 3 to give you some points about how this goes into the playoffs. And so good points when you really get down that. And that Valdosta team is coached by an HBCU guy, Texas Southern University alumni for that matter. So I'm kind of got my eyes on them as well, and seeing maybe that potential Benedict Valdosta State matchup in the playoffs. It looks like Benedict, even if they lose this, they should be in the playoffs. But the question will, how much will that affect their seeding? In a position maybe to hold on to the number 1 seed, which means they get the bye. So great components there. Charles, I have this as the 1-7 matchup. Albany State just jumped in the poll rankings last week. Where are you going in terms of your thoughts on this? Or again, maybe there's a follow-up question you wanted to ask Kendrick. You're welcome to do this.
Well, the follow-up question for me is, in a lot of ways, this game reminds me so much of Jackson State versus South Carolina State in the Celebration Bowl a couple of years ago. A lot of people did not factor in South Carolina State with regards to knocking off Jackson State, but they did it. So if I'm an Albany State Golden Ram fan, make an argument for me in terms of what Freddie Gaines brings to this offense, Deontay Bono, in terms of some things they can do to sort of knock this Benedict team, I guess, off the pedestal a little bit, because it looks like a classic David versus Goliath matchup.
Well, one of the things, they're going to have to play mistake-free football, because when you look at that Benedict team, discipline is going to be the key word for them. They're never rattled. When Miles went up on them with about a minute left, it was just like, okay, whatever, we can go out here and we can score. Now that scares me for them in another sense, because if things don't go their way, are they too relaxed to think, at some point in time, it'll just come together. So it's like they have to stay focused, because you look at that third quarter in that Miles game, they just kind of got relaxed. I don't think you can do that to Albany State. But one of the things that I feel like Auburn State is going to have to prove, they're going to have to prove that they can protect their quarterback. Like that's just it. That's been Benedict's thing. They haven't had to blitz much. They've allowed, they play that 4-2-5. They have that rover, if that's the terminology they use, and Kilpatrick. He just kind of floats the field. He's all over the field. And one of the things that Miles did, they always kept their tight end eligible. Give him a job. Can't let him float all over the field on you. And so I don't think Albany State really has shown me a lot of tight end packages this season. So it'll be interesting. Is that something that they try to, use? Because there is film, and I will say that I've been a little disappointed that teams have just tried to play with Benedict this year. And not really attack them. And we've seen when Wingate played them last year in the playoffs, they attacked them using that tight end, those different tight end sets. And that's how Miles stayed competitive with them. So I think if Albany State wants to be competitive, they're going to have to use their tight ends in this game. Even if it's just a decoy, you're going to have to give that Roman defender, that loose out linebacker that makes the 4-2 instead of the 4-3. Got to give him a job.
Brian, your thoughts, and then a follow-up question for Kendra.
This is a hard one to really look at and find an angle that favors Albany State, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm just going, I know Charles mentioned that the Jackson State, South Carolina State, and I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, but at least, South Carolina State had pros on their team. That team, they even had some pros. So I guess you can kind of look at it and say, well, they got pros, we got pros, let's go. I don't think Auburn, it's not like that for Albany State. I agree 100% with what Kendrick was saying. You got to play mistake-free football. I guess that's the first thing that comes to mind. What I do like about Albany State is they have found ways. They were up 17, was it? 24-7 against Edward Waters. I was there for that. I was trying to figure out. And then it was just like all of a sudden they gave up just 3 long drives. Then they showed their mettle the next week. I mean, when literally they were written off. I mean, I wrote them off. I gave them about a 1% chance to be here. And look where they're at. So I'm just saying, this team has the ability, but I just really – I don't know. I really don't have – I can't find a good question to ask you, Kendrick, because I don't know how Albany State is going to pull this rabbit out the hat. This might be one of the greatest upsets in black college football this season, because Benedict is probably going to be a 21-point favorite. And so for Albany State, I love Quinn Gray to death. Love him, former Rattler, FAMU legend. Man, if he pulls this off, though, woo, I'm telling you what, they're gonna write a – they're going to build a statue already in Albany, Georgia for him.
I'll say this. I think also it's probably going to feel more like a home game for Albany State, being in Atlanta. It's hard to beat Albany State in Albany. Miles saw that. It was like a learning experience. Miles go down there and like they never got off the bus. Got beat 48-7. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're starting quarterback down. Well, they almost beat Benedict with their second string quarterback. I mean, they dominated us the whole game with their second string quarterback. So I don't think it's much fall off between Klein Peter and their second string. Actually, I think he gives them another weapon because he's more mobile than Klein Peter is. But I think, and I'll say this. What we haven't really seen from Benedict this year is that running game really just take off the way. When you look at Zaire Scotland in the backfield, I was really expecting those guys to kind of reach that, almost get that 1,000-yard mark this season. That's been one of the areas that I was like, okay, I feel like teams have kind of clamped down. You're going to have to make them one-dimensional, but they have so many weapons that even if they are one-dimensional, they're still effective. They have Dennis at quarterback, and he's serviceable. I mean, he he gets the job done for them. He's not going to put the ball in harm's way. I think he went 5 games with no interceptions. He has 2,600 yards on the season. I know we do a lot of talk about David Wright, and I think David Wright deserves a ton of respect. But he also has 17 interceptions. And you look at Dennis. Dennis, I think he has 4 on the season, 4 or 5 on the season. I just think this Benedict team is together, but I've counted Albany State out this whole season. I'll be honest. I've said that on every show. I didn't give them a shot, and look where they are. So, hey, the games played on the field, and I know they'll be amped, and I know their crowd will be there. It's just, Coach Beer, you hear those talks. He has those guys ready to go, man.
This was Kendrick Hooks of D2 HBCU football. As you can get it, their show partnering with Stephen A. Gaither and Ferg. With that being said, is that defense for Benedict that good? 8.3 points a game, if I'm correct there, 9 touchdowns, giving up 6 field goals in 10 contests. Do you believe they're as good as advertised in terms of what the data would tell us they are?
So in years past, and I talk about this a lot, every year in the national poll, you get a bunch of HBCU defenses in the top 10, top 10, top 20. And when you talk to people outside of the conference, their argument is they're never concerned about that when we go to playoffs. Even if we have a higher seed, those schools never feel like they're the underdogs because their argument is our offenses are so bad in the conference. You've seen our offenses upgrade. Not to knock on my CIAA cousins over there, but they have 9 teams in the bottom half, the bottom 30 of offenses. But the SIC has made some strides. We have 4 teams in the top 50. So they face some different offenses, some different styles of offenses. The conference has kind of changed from 3 yards in the cloud of dust type of offenses that you would normally see in Savannah State, Kentucky State, and Albany State. And now, they're seeing a variety of different types of offenses. So I think that bodes well for Benedict having to have seen so many different styles of offense and still been able to be dominant and more dominant than they were last year.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Again, this is Kendrick Hooks of D2 HBCU football. You can catch them as they get things done. You can follow him on Twitter as well at D2 HBCU football guy. Gives you a lot of great information as you see on the SIC. Dabbles in there and make sure you're caught up on the CIAA and can just get it done on HBCU football talk for that matter. Great insight, great mind. Anything else you want to share with us before we let you go, Kendrick?
I want to congratulate the SIC. I think, we've changed the format. We've got rid of the East and West divisions. And I think it has made for exciting football all the way down to week 10.
It kept giving.
Be in divisions, lose the game, you pretty much felt like you were out of it. But there were a lot of teams still in it up until Saturday. There was a lot of different scenarios that could have it was anybody's game. And I think a play away from here. There's a lot of games in this conference. I talked to Coach Shade yesterday on the show, and I told him, he's 4 points away from being a 9-1 team. You talk about a lot of parity in the conference this year. Like I said, we got a 3,000-yard passer. We haven't seen that in forever in the SIC. We have 3 over 2,000-yard passers, and that's something that we had gotten away from in the conference. So to see that, the conference is filled with young talent. And just overall, I'm glad the trajectory, the way that the conference is going, and I hope we keep our coaches in place. And that's a little hint for Coach Beer at Benedict.
I love it. Great point. To your point, when you exclude Benedict, you had 5 teams going in that last weekend, including Benedict. They were in the mix, so that was big time. That's almost half the conference in terms of them fighting and trying to find a way in that championship. You can't get any better than that in terms of that decision. So I'm glad you pointed that out. It was good having you. Welcome to come back as we get into the playoffs and other things. As we get into the break for everybody, come back on the other side. We'll get into major sport, and we'll catch you then. Any last thing that you wanted to share? It seemed like you wanted to add one other thing or two.
No, that's all, and just shout out and support it. One of the things I just want to just say, hey, the CIAA, they have a lot of good things going on. There's the Beach Bowl that's coming up, so there's a lot of teams that's vying for that spot. Like you said, those 5 teams, all 5 of those teams are actually vying for a spot, maybe in that Beach Bowl game. And I just want to encourage that anybody, they're fans of CIAA, doesn't matter who wins that game. One thing I like about the Celebration Bowl, you see SWAC fans, well, no matter what school, show up. And I just want that the same for the SIAC and CIAA. Show up, support, and maybe next year it may be your team. And let's just make this thing really big and really good. And I appreciate you all for having me.
Man, perfect way to close. We'll get into this break. We'll come back on the other side, get into marching sport. Thanks, Kenny.
Think all pads are exactly the same? Think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna love, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get into the Major Division Marching Sport Poll Rankings in week number 10. We do have one new entrance into the poll ranking this week, as we had the Grambling World Fame drop out of this past weekend. They had the direct head-to-head matchup, the Alabama State, the Mighty Marching Hornets. Let's see what it looks like at number 7. Texas Southern, the Ocean of Soul. They just come up with these tough matchups. It was a close one again. They might got it done in terms of what takes in the plan. Be careful of what you ask for when you come against the Third Ward Tigers. The Ocean of Soul, you might get those French and 3 pieces at you if you're not careful. With that being said, they do fall to 3-2, 2-2 on the season, 140 points. Previous rank 6, but they come in the poll ranking this week at number 7. Bringing us to number 6, Alabama State, the Mighty Marching Hornets, and proved a 4-2, 3-2 as they knocked off Grambling and knocked them out of the poll. They didn't jump in themselves, but they go all the way up to number 6. 144 points as they continue to get it done. Bringing us to number 5, Mississippi Valley State, the Mean Green Marching Machine, I should say, stay at 4-1, 1-1 on the season, 158 points, and they stay at number 5. That being said, we move on to number 4. The Bethune-Cookman, the Marching Wildcats, are 3-0, 1-0 in terms of their dance this year, 167 points. And they stay at number 4. Bring us to number 3, the Southern Human Jukebox. Had the big band matchup. While they didn't get it done on the road, they get it done in the stands. 5-1 as they improve to 3-1 in the conference race. 2 first-place votes as they increase their first-place votes this weekend. 188 points, but they stay at number 3. Bring us to number 2, the Jackson State Sonic Boom of the South, 5-1. 4-0 as they get the victory over Texas Southern. They stay with just 2 first-place votes, but they do improve on the year, and they also stay at number 2 with 199 points. Bring us to number 1, the Norfolk State, the Spartan Legions. They stay at 6-0, 2-0 in terms of the conference race. They lose the first place vote to 6, but they stay number 1 with 205 points. Norfolk State, the Spartan Legions, continue at the top of the poll rankings in week number 10. Brian, what are your thoughts in terms of week number 10, the marching sport for the HBCU major division?
Well, first off, the Ocean of Souls should have got the victory over Jackson State.
No.
Yes. Based on that 3-piece that I saw put on in the stands by that heckler from Jackson State.
Are you serious?
That was worthy enough. That was worthy enough. You were being heckled in the stands, bam, bam. And then you're still playing the song, didn't miss a beat. Come on, that should have been worthy of more than just making it into the poll. But you know, that's just me not being a Jackson State hater. That's being
Thank you.
That's putting respect. That's putting respect on that Ocean of Souls name. That's all I'm doing. I won't be rolling up into the stands anywhere near that tuba section, and nothing but praise and love should come from anybody when you see them tubas from Texas Southern come marching in. Move out the way. I'm telling you, man, that was a piece of work.
No doubt. With that, Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of the marching sport in week number 10?
If you get an opportunity, go check out the 5th quarter between Jackson State and Texas Southern. Epic. And this is just coming listening to a lot of people with the band community. This could be Jackson State's strongest band that they fielded in a long time. They have the perfect balance. They have the sound that blows you away. They've gone to Southern. You know how I am about the jukebox. The jukebox to me is a standard. Went to Southern. They knocked off Southern. There in Baton Rouge. Yep. Every challenge that has come Jackson State's way, they have been up for it. And this past week, they played some melodies in that 5th quarter that I finally had to be like, okay, yeah, this band right here is a little different. So they've taken on all comers, 0 quarter, 5th quarter, halftime, whatever the case might be. I got to take my hats off to the Sonic Boom this year.
I'm with you. It's fascinating to see what that looks like. This Final Four, and I think they're going to actually go with 5, then they'll will it down and announce the Final Four that will be in Atlanta. Norfolk State, the Spartan Legion, Jackson State, the Sonic Boom, the Southern, the Human Jukebox. I know they're a little off, so people may have some question there, but you start getting in at North Carolina A&T marching machine over there, obviously not in our poll rankings in a lot of ways because of the matchups. Same way with FAMU. They'll be in the mix, not in our poll ranking because of the matchups, but that's a different ranking, and they'll be in the mix in that 5-6. Tennessee State, the Aristocratic Bands are going to be in the mix. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens when that final poll rankings of that 5 come out. One, how it looks against this poll ranking in terms of matchups, and then really in terms of those that are exciting to see who's going to book their ticket to Atlanta. You got to get it done in the stands, on the field, marching in terms of the 0 quarters. That's all part of the judgment in terms of how you perform. It'll be fascinating to see what that looks like. With that said, we'll take our last break. We'll come back on the other side and get into some of these key matchups, particularly in the MEAC. Will it be interesting where a lot is on the line? Can we have the upset of the year? We talked about it in the SIAC championship game. You might have that same kind of matchup in the MEAC that essentially North Carolina Central has the chance to sew things up basically this weekend. We want to see what these guys think about that. We'll be right back after this last break.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
It's never too early to plant the seed. Just press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get to our major division matchups. Let's start with the SWAC. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Mumford Stadium, Saturday, November the 11th. As you know, that's 2 p.m. It is on ESPN+. You have number 10 Prairie View A&M, the Panthers, that improved to 4-5. The big homecoming win against Pine Bluff, doing what they're supposed to do. They got it done. They're on the road at number 8 Southern Jaguars that fall to 5-4 and 4-2. They're looking a little bit of the wounds in terms of how they got treated in Mississippi. It was not kind in terms of the neighbors there, but just when you're ready to pour dirt on Southern Jaguars, they tend to stand up. We'll see if they're able to do it this time. I will say this: the last time Prairie View A&M came in there, they did get it done. Obviously, oddly enough, the head coach of their team was one coach, Eric Dooley. With that being said, Charles, what are your thoughts on this matchup with 10 versus number 8?
I think the big thing for me is which Prairie View team shows up. And I've said all year, this is an explosive football team. They have weapons on the outside. They have great running backs. And they've had a tendency, unfortunately, to shoot themselves in the foot. This past weekend against Arkansas Pine Bluff is probably the best I've seen them look all season in regards to what they were able to get done defensively, taking shots downfield, getting over the top of the defense, and the defense just playing lights out, flying around all over the place, holding Arkansas Pine Bluff to only 12 yards passing. To me, the question becomes, are they ascending at the right time? And I think with Ahmad Antoine back in this offense, it really opens things up on the outside. And then you could have Caleb Johnson, who could be back this weekend as well. So I think those are two 1-2 pieces in the backfield that really kind of opens up things on the defensive side of the ball. You take a look at Southern. I don't know mentally where they are. How much did that Alcorn loss take out of them? I do expect a lighter than normal crowd this weekend in Baton Rouge. And we'll see how much that affects this team's psyche going forward. I think Prairie View can go in and get it done.
Yeah, you talking about Brian Jenkins Jr., you talked about him coming back last week. He got in the mix, so he should be even more involved in it. Wide receivers held out, they came back. So it'll be fascinating to see, as you said, can Prairie View do what many people have thought about it? And it seems they started it last weekend. But again, going to you, Brian, there's thoughts that Noah Botton is actually going to start this weekend. Will that be enough to kind of start the engines, if you would, with Southern finding a way to try to stay in the race? Because this essentially becomes an elimination game. Whoever loses this one is certain now. If Prairie View can find a way to win, they put the pressure on Alcorn to make sure that they continue to win. Because remember, Prairie View went to the Alcorn State, the Braves, and got that victory on that 50-yard field goal as time expired. So if it comes down to tiebreaker, you find a way to see Prairie View going back to Tallahassee versus the Alcorn State Braves going in there, which you hadn't seen in a while a lot of people are intrigued about that matchup, although the Braves are probably playing some of the football, particularly what they were able to do with the Southern Jaguars. What are your thoughts on this matchup, week number 11, in terms of number 10, the Panthers, up against number 8, the Jaguars?
My co-host Kelvin Roger will tell me, "Don't trust the West," and he's 100%. I don't trust Southern, and I guess by that respect, Coach Dooley. I don't know if 1 week has all of a sudden cured Prairie View, because just 2 weeks ago, and 3 weeks ago, and 4 weeks ago, they were getting outscored 70-something to 7. And the same way I've heard people talk about Southern, that's how people were talking about Prairie View prior to homecoming. So was homecoming that magic elixir that all of a sudden made everything right for Prairie View? I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I expect a chaotic ending. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting it. I really am. I'm expecting it to come down to the last possession. I'm even throwing in and expect to see some kind of overtime, maybe even 2 overtimes. I think this game is ripe for that. And the good thing, I think the drama is that we get a chance to, or I guess Alcorn gets a chance to sit back and watch, and they don't have to sort of play a game at the same time as this game. And they're sort of in an advantage situation where they get to kind of sit back and wait and watch. So it adds to the drama of this weekend in the SWAC. So that's why I have a feeling that Prairie View will win, just because of the drama that we need to go into the last week of the season, in which still it could be anybody's race.
Good stuff. Well, let's go into what many people think is the main meal this weekend, the big game in the MEAC, Washington, D.C. Stadium. People have been talking about this game since last year when it ended up being a co-champion. North Carolina Central didn't feel good about it. Howard says they want a chance at the top of the mountain. So you have number 1 North Carolina Central that are 8-1, 3-0. They're at number 9 Howard Bison that are 5-2, 2-1. That North Carolina Central Eagles team is actually ranked number 7, top 10 in the nation in the FCS coaches poll. With that being said, what are your thoughts in terms of, Brian, of this matchup? Can the Bison have a shock of the world this week and find themselves in position to hold on and get a celebration bowl bid, sneak it out?
Had I never watched or heard Sunday's show and heard Joshua tell us the thoughts of Davius Richard for this game, I might have said, yes, Howard has a shot. But when I heard that, there's no shot. No, look, you got a 1% chance. Anything is possible. Albany State kind of proved me on that point. Anything is possible. But the computer analytics that I'm just looking at right now says Howard is just a 5.5-point underdog. And please let that be the number that I see Saturday morning when I wake up, because I will wake up like it's Christmas morning, and I will be doing a happy dance, be like, yes, I will give those 5.5 points, because I may put a rent check on North Carolina Central to cover by a touchdown or more. Just can't wait. Just can't wait. Can't wait to see what Santa brings me on Christmas morning.
Good stuff. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of the matchup? Number 1 versus number 9, number 7 in the nation.
I just can't. I can't go against North Carolina Central. As much as
he did a nice little pause, like he was thinking about it. He was like, "No."
As much as I want to lean into, this could be Howard's year, and this could be the game. This could be the moment for the Howard Bison. I'm not going against Davius Richard. I know better. I have to go with the fighting Josh Sims on this one.
Hey, let me ask a question, Charles. Had Howard not lost, if Howard were still going into this game, wouldn't we feel? I think we would both feel differently about Howard.
Completely. completely. Especially what hurts, I think, Howard, is the loss of South Carolina State and the way that South Carolina State looked against North Carolina Central. That just sticks out of my mind. And when I saw the Howard South Carolina State matchup, I said, okay, Howard goes down to Orangeburg, they'll steal that win, and it sets up everything great for the North Carolina Central game. And imagine my shock, when the old Sly Fox did it again and gets the win over Howard. Speaking of old Sly Foxes, that's Fred McNair of swag now. So we can compare the two in that regard. But it just takes the luster off of it for me. I just don't think Howard has enough to deal with this Central defense. And then we've just seen Davis Richards have the ability to put the team on his back when need be. When they're pressed up against the wall, he's that guy in HBCU football.
And he's been doing that for 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's not an accident. It's not something that he just that's what he does. To your point about Howard, you've had some concern with Howard, particularly how they lost to Hampton. When they kind of bounced back, and you're like, all right, conference play. Then they had, the big win where they had to stop Norfolk State for getting it done at home. Then they get on the slow, and they kind of find a way to wiggle around with Delaware State. And you're like, what's going on? You see it and you say, well, maybe they just got a magical season. They're just going to find ways to get things done. But it kind of creeps up in there. And then you go to South Carolina State. It's going to be a big matchup. The Bulldogs are going to play hard. It's homecoming. They're trying to send out Coach Pugh with the winning record. And so this is your chance to literally make a statement and saying, no, we have arrived. And they can't get it done. And Bulldogs jumped out them big. Now, give them credit. They pushed back and at least made it a game, but they couldn't get over that hump. So it's going to be fascinating. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come out of this game. Can they maybe jump out early on Central to kind of get them on the heels maybe, and that'll make a difference? But outside of that, you're right. It's going to be interesting. And you got Bison fans that wanted to get on board, but they're kind of looking apoplectic in terms of this game. So I'm not even sure how much they're going to be in the mix, and they're pulling for them at home as they're trying to get it going. So, yeah, there's a lot of reason to get concerns there. We won't go over this matchup, but I did want to put it out there because they are number 2 in the poll rankings that we put out. Number 9 in that same FCS coaches poll. So you're getting to a place where there could be a point in the Celebration Bowl that you literally have a top 10 type of matchup between Central and FAMU. It's early. FAMU has to find a way to get it done. They're putting in QB2 in this game against Lincoln, California, Oakland, that comes in at 0-11. And as I said, number 2 ranked FAMU rallies at 8-1, 7-0. Tied everything up, getting ready for the emotional game against the rival Bethune-Cookman. Number 9 overall. And then ultimately they sit at home to play the championship game, which is going to be either between Southern, Prairie View, or Alcorn, with Alcorn leading the way and probably the hottest team out there as they play on Sunday against Texas Southern. Everybody will keep their eye to see, literally, depending on how things play on Saturday. The Braves can lock things up on Sunday before they even have to worry about their arrival the following week in what used to be called the Soul Bowl as they travel up to Jackson State. I'm sure it's going to find a want to knock them off if that game means anything. That being said, let's come to a close it out. Look for us on Sunday as we'll give you all the update and tell you what we saw and what took place and your thoughts in terms of what is going on. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watch and Charles Bishop. Today we have in Brian Fulford. Make sure you check out the 2 members of X's and O crew with BJ Jones, curators at HBCU Weekly, Joshua Sims Sr., curator of HBCU Nightly. Check it out. We had some good discussion last night in terms of what was out there. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab as we continue to get things going. If you get a chance, go to the Griot, thegriot.com. Got a chance to have an interview with Daron Snyder, who wrote an article, HBCU Shine, from Stephen A. and Shannon, and Prime is cool, but we want that stolen money. But we get in some other information out there that's pretty good, some quotes that people appreciated. So if you would, go check that out. Again, you go to griot.com and type in HBCU's Deron Snyder to get some love in that. With that being said, follow me, Dr. Kenyatta on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, DrKNYATTACAVIL. That's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. It's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you check us out Tuesday and Thursday at 6, Sunday at 9, Central Standard Time. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Brian?
Lecture.
Dismiss.